Hey everybody, and welcome back to Life with Lolo. It is time for our weekly recap of Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 13, episode 1, and it was titled No Justice, No Peace. So the ladies are back in Atlanta, and it was a good introduction to the season or whatever. I don't really think the storyline's gonna be all that popping, but we already kind of suspected that, especially with the quarantine and everything like that. So I guess they're gonna give us what they can and do what it do. We are going to have a new lady on here, Drew Sidora. She used to play in the game. That's all I know her from. I think she's a singer too, but she'll be on, I think, like the next couple episodes or whatever. But for this episode, it was just our regular ladies. So let's just kind of jump into it. It was interview day, quarantine style. So they had their mask on, and we actually saw them doing their first interview to the shows and stuff. And then it was the producers was asking them, like, tell us what's going on. Well, how you're feeling about what's going on in the world. So that's how they kind of opened it up. So Kenya started talking, and she was like, well, with the pandemic, it's been no traveling, no socializing. It's like we've been in prison in our own homes. And Kenya said that she was depressed. Sing I'm gonna say Cynthia, she was talking about she was quarantined in LA for 4 months because she got stuck over there or whatever. And while they were in the house and stuff, and then after the whole George Floyd incident happened, then they started coming outside and being more active, like in the protests and stuff like that. Candy started talking about the pandemic and the injustice and how she has to now protect Ace because he is a black male in America. So just thinking about how she has to protect him brought her to tears and stuff. And then Portia was talking about how she's so upset at what's happening to black people. And she was saying, like, look, no justice, no peace. And then we were seeing, like, her times in the protests. So, like, they were, like, June 1st, Portia. And it was, like, I think it went all the way up to the June 18th, was it? Where she got locked up. So they were just showing it from her view, where she was with the king, with her phone and stuff like that, and doing a peaceful protest. And we all saw it transpire on the news and stuff. So she showed like June 1st, where it was like they was shooting pepper spray in the air and stuff like that. If you've never had or been around pepper spray, like I remember one time, well, I was in a gas chamber back in the day, but that was for boot camp. But for like just out and about, when I went in this club and somebody sprayed pepper spray. I don't know if it was like security or like somebody brought pepper spray in, because this was like this ghetto club down there in North Carolina. And that stuff is, and it was a small club. So that it was burning our eyes, our throat, our everything. So I knew exactly what Portia was going through or whatever when they popped them pepper sprays of gas up in the air and stuff like that, because that stuff is strong. And that if you've never been around it, count your blessings. But she was saying what was going on. She said Dennis and her had to start running. The police was basically out of control, and we already know because we got TVs, we watch the news. And it was like June 3rd, how she was on the news for her protest, doing interviews and stuff like that. 6/8, she was speaking life into the protesters and stuff like that. So it was just kind of going through her time protesting and whatnot. We at Cynthia's place and Lake Bailey and stuff, and she out there making food and drinks and stuff because I'm about to say Candy and Marlo, of all people, are coming to her place. So she's having an event outside in her driveway or whatever. Child, her outfit. Now I'm gonna tell you, these ladies got some nice titties. Okay, now I like titties. I'm a titty girl. I like titties and stuff, and they got some nice titties. Okay, but Cynthia kept flashing her titties to everybody. Her nipples was hanging out. I said, "What in the world?" Because the dress she had on, it was cute, but I was like, "Girl." Like, it was a cute dress, but she said she gained some weight during the quarantine. So maybe the dress was prior pre-COVID because she's trying to put this dress on after COVID, and her titties is like, girl, we will not be enclosed, okay? Because they kept popping out. Candy was like, girl, can you stop showing me? Because I want to suckle it. No, she didn't say that. I'm sorry. But she did say, can you stop showing me your nipple? But they was just talking, and then Marlo came with the thermometer testing them. I said, I don't blame her. She came with her face shield. She was like, look, she came with her measuring tape and was like, look, we is not 6 feet. We need to back up. Okay. I didn't blame her at all. Cynthia was talking about trying to lose weight or whatever, because she said she got up to like 180, and yeah, because her booty looked extra juicy, and like I said, them titties, child, was looking nice and healthy. So she said she can gain 180, and she said she's trying to get, lose some of that before her wedding and stuff like that. They was talking about Portia, and Marlo named her Portia Luther King, and they just want her to be safe, and they was kind of proud of her and stuff like that. And then they tried to call Kenya, but I don't know if it was like poor reception or maybe she just didn't want to talk. I don't know, but it could have been poor reception. But they was trying to, because they was saying like they talked to her, but she sounded down and stuff. So they was trying to get her on the FaceTime and whatnot. And she was like, girl, you got poor reception. I need you to get better Wi-Fi. And then the call disconnected or she hung up. But she did say she would call back later. And then here go Marlo. What you got, Metro? I said, not Metro PCS. And so then here go Cynthia. Marlo, try to call her on your phone. She was like, girl, she probably got me blocked. I was cracking up. But then we saw Kenya. She was hit it out. And Kenya gained a lot of weight. And you could see in her face that she gained a lot of weight. She said she gained like 30 pounds because she was in the house. She was depressed. She was just eating. And a lot of people did that. And a lot of people did the other way, lose weight and stuff like that. But she was saying like, she called Brandon up. And she was talking to him, and she was telling him, like, look, I can't even zip up my dang on dress. Like, I didn't gain all this weight and stuff. I'm headed to the attorney's office because, like, things just ain't going right. And she was saying, like, the past 6 months, her marriage has went downhill. And she's just tired of being sad. And she said she went up to New York, and he didn't even want to, like, talk to her. So, like, last season, I was thinking it was because of the cameras. But if there was no cameras and she went up to New York and he still was acting kind of like shady to her and stuff like that and dismissive and all that, then it's just him. And she was saying, like, he just wanted to beeline to, I can't think of the baby name. Damn, I can't think of that baby name. But she just wanted to beeline to the baby. Well, he wanted to beeline to the baby and not even like greet her and stuff like that. So she's been sad and crying and stuff like that. At the attorney's office, she said that, because I was like, well, why they ain't got no mask on? But she said the attorney wanted her to take a COVID test before she had got there and so forth. So that's why they ain't had no mask on. And also Candy and Cynthia, they took COVID tests. I don't know if Marlo took a test, but I know they took tests. And so I'm assuming I would assume everybody had to take a COVID test because they're not wearing any masks around each other. So I'm assuming they had to take them or had to take them regularly to make sure they weren't, they didn't have it and stuff like that. So I think that was smart. At any rate, she was telling them, the lawyer, about the marriage. They've been married for 3 years, separated for 10 months. And she said they were doing well 6 months ago. And this one we saw like a little flash. And, oh shoot, my phone about to die. We saw a little flash. My bad, y'all. We saw a little flashback with her talking to Andy saying that they was doing good. They was in counseling. And she was like, he did a 360. And I was like, that's the whole circle. So you meant like 180. But then again, he did a 360 because he the same. So she meant right. So she was like, she don't know. Like, it just went downhill. Like, COVID affected his restaurant, which I assumed it would, because a lot of restaurants had to close. And he in New York. So, New York had, like, shut down. Okay? They was not playing because they were, like, ground zero. So, they really, like, shut down. So, his business got affected. And he took it out on her, basically. So she was just saying like what's her she said he threw like insults, he just became angry. She had to walk around on eggshells, and that's not her. She a great communicator. And then Bravo with their shady asses showing scenes where she was just cussing people out. So you saying your daughter a hoe. I said, Lord, just use the cup. So those were not really good clips. I said, Bravo, shady. But at any rate, she said it started feeling like abuse. So she wanted to, see what her options was. And basically, it's file for custody, file for divorce, basically. Or file for separation papers or whatever. And he was asking her like because there was no prenup, but her house is in cash, the car she brought, she just gave it to him, so it's nothing really for them to divide up too much, so that's good. But the only thing is the baby, and he was asking, well, like, does he see the baby without you? And she was like, no, every time I come there, he at the hotel with us, like he's never alone with Brooklyn. That's the baby name. He's never alone with Brooklyn. So he was like, see, that's going to be the problem, because it's not like you could just drop her off on Sunday and be like, all right, see you, on such and such day. So they was talking about that, and she said she kind of wants to weigh her options and look at all the stuff or whatever. But first she wants to do custody, and then if need be, she'll do a divorce. And so then like the cameras was like backing out the room, and he would try to give her like a pep talk and was like, look, you can't keep putting yourself down for this man. Like, you keep diminishing your light for this man, and that's not you. So don't do that. Like, his failure is his failure, not your failure. So stop taking this abuse. And I appreciated him like that, because he was like, look, you a black woman, and you don't need to be chasing after this man and dimming your light. Like, shine. Don't worry about him. If he want to change and do better for this relationship, then he gonna do that. If not, or whatever. So that's what he told her. So then we see June 14th, we see Portia, she on a plane to go on to Louisville, Kentucky, where the Attorney General, the Attorney General, because we know at this point she going to the Attorney General's house to sit on his front or whatever. But this is for, Breonna Taylor, because it was 120 days, nothing had been done. So they was trying to get some things done. So it's peaceful protesting, all that around. She did a video just saying like, if I get arrested, know that I love myself. And I thought that was so sad to have to say, but it's in relation to the Sandra Bland thing, because how she died and stuff. So I was just like, this don't make no fucking sense. Anytime we gotta get on the goddamn camera and tell people that we love ourselves and we not going to commit suicide, so if something happens to me, like, that's just crazy to me. But we're not going to get into that. Let me stick to this. So then next we see Candy family. So everybody outside, even the baby, Bleeze, she outside, and they talking about Riley, to clean Riley car and stuff. But Riley, I say Riley is not dressed to clean no car. She got her little short denim skirt. She was not cleaning no car. So basically Tide and what's the baby name? Oh Lord. Oh my God. It's like on the tip of my tongue. And I think I said it earlier. Ace. They cleaning the car or whatever, and somehow it got on, because she's going to NYU. That's what it was. She's going to NYU, and Candy was saying like, you want to be on a budget because this school is expensive or whatever. And she was like, well, my dad hasn't done anything in all my life, so basically it's time for him to step up. So Candy has filed for back child support for him to pay that rearage that he had. He owes like over $100,000 or whatever. I said, girl. But she is trying to get that paid or whatever. And so once he pays that, she can just get that money to Riley, and Riley can basically do what she wants to do up in, NYU. So, and look, if the man owed the money, he owed the money. I don't care how rich Candy is or whatever like that. That man still had to pay child support, and the fact that she has money is the reason why he didn't pay the money, because she said he riding around in a Rolls Royce or whatever, so he has money, but he just didn't want to pay because Candy has money, and that's bull. Like, if you still obligated to pay that money. You should have took yourself off child support if that was the case, but you didn't. So like, that's your fault. So she like, look, so Candy was like, well, if he does pay the money, do you think you want to have a relationship with him? And she was like, at this point, I don't even see the point in doing it, because I tried to talk to him about 5 years ago, and look where that's got us. Like, he ain't trying or whatever. And Candy wants them to have a relationship. Raleigh is pretty much like, what's the point? Like, he wasn't here. He didn't do what he's supposed to do. Like, he has to make an effort. He's not making an effort, so why should I? Like, that's not my problem. And then Ty was basically agreeing with Raleigh, like, he has to put in the effort, and she has to like, she can give him the opportunity to make the effort. Like, she's not closing the door, but she's not going through the door first, basically. And I don't blame her. Like, he's the grown-ass man, she's the child. If he really want to have a connection with his daughter, then he can do that. And the fact that she said that he has other children and he's not making a attempt to be in her life, but he's doing everything for them children, that's bullshit. And I don't blame her. Riley is hurt, and he doesn't get that. He just thinks, oh, well, I'm talking to her now. Like, where you been? Where you been? So, like, yeah. What else, y'all? I think that was it for them. So then, yeah. So we back with Portia, and I'm sorry, y'all. So we back with Portia, and it's helicopters flying around, but they're changing locations of the protest because they don't want someone to dom them out to the cops, and then the cops come and all the other stuff. So then we finally see them at the Kentucky Attorney General's house or whatever, and then she got arrested with like 100 other people there. So that's basically what happened with that one. Then we see Cynthia, she's going over to Kenya's house, and then Candy came. Cynthia had on her little heels. She said, look, we can't go nowhere. I came over here, girl, dressed. So she gave her some booties because they was going in some mud, because Kenya is putting in a jacuzzi and a pool house. And she like, look, Mark ain't want no pool, but since he not here and I want a pool, I'm getting a pool. So I said, girl. So they go inside, get some wine and stuff like that. She telling them about the nanny and whatnot. Of course, they was talking about some sex. Cynthia was kind of like, you, what she say? She say to Candy something like, you, what she said, you like it doggy style and you do something doggy style. I forgot what she said, but I said, Cynthia, why you always bringing up sex when it come to Candy? Because earlier when they was talking about the COVID test, I guess Candy got the throat test, and then Cynthia got the nostril test or whatever. I didn't even know they had a throat test. That's new, because the ones we had to do was the nose ones. But she was like, oh yeah, the throat test ain't even really bother me. She was like, oh wow. She was like, yeah, because I mean, Ty must think I got used to it or whatever, because she was like, oh, because you like the gag. Oh, okay. I said, Cynthia, what the hell? And then the producer said, asked her, why, what they say, oh, has your sex life improved, or, whatever. And Candy was like, I mean, it's staying steady, it's staying, it's the same pretty much. So I was just like, Lord, why we always gotta talk about sex when we talking about Candy? Because she do the sex dungeon and stuff. But when she was on the Shy, I really wasn't buying them sex scenes. So okay. But at any rate, and then we saw like a scene where they was on a bus. I don't know where they was going, but I guess she had Ty on speakerphone. I guess it was some dare or something, and she was talking about how he be eating it from the back and whatever, and she was like, I love that shit and stuff. And I was like, and he didn't know he was on speakerphone. Oh, snap, crackle, pop. I said, ooh, child. I mean, that is a good, never mind. What was we talking about? Oh, so then we at Kenya's house. How I get on that? Oh, because Cynthia, her nasty ass. But anyway, we at Cynthia's house. I'm not Cynthia's. Kenya's house. And she's telling them about how she went to New York and how Mark was acting and stuff. And they like, girl, just cut your losses. Like, look. Cynthia like, look, if you happy, I'm happy, but I don't like the way he talks to you. I don't like this. But if you want to be with him, I support you, girl, and stuff like that. And then Candy was like, well, y'all been separated for 10 months. Like, what in the world? So, of course, Kenya wants her marriage. Like, she loves the man. She wants to be with him. But like they said, she put in all this effort, and he's still giving her his ass to kiss. And it's been 3 years, 10 months separated, and he don't seem to be trying to improve his attitude. Like, he just, well, according to Kenya, because we not seeing it, but he just seems to be in the same asshole. So, like, if he was putting in some effort and he was making changes and actively doing stuff and not being an asshole to her and like actually did a 180 or whatever, then I'm like, okay, something is going, they working through it and stuff. But it sounds like he the same asshole that we saw on the show. So I'm like, girl, just stop. Like, take your baby, be happy with your baby, and then one day you gonna find somebody who not gonna talk to you, who not gonna down you, who not gonna make you feel like shit, and who gonna lift you up, make you feel like the black beautiful woman that you are, and treat your daughter right. So like, just, girl, cut the ties. What else, child? Oh, then we see Cynthia. She at the table with her assistant and what is that man name? Mike. He coming up the steps and he on the phone with his assistant and he's talking about the final draft of his book came in, so they all excited about that. Cynthia and him sit down and basically they talking about the wedding. But Mike, he's so fresh. Look, I like that big ass girl. Yeah, that big ass. And then he started talking about how she was fucking in LA and how she sound like a revved up engine, like I said, that's not sexy. Oh God. Why, Jesus? It's like, that is not sexy. And then she agreed that she sounds like that. That's not sexy. But I guess she was being quiet because, it was a bunch of kids in there. He said with the pillow over her head. So maybe without the pillow, she don't sound like that. But I'm like, what in the world? What have I... But anyway, they started talking about the wedding. Ooh, child. They started talking about the wedding. And, what was they talking about? Oh, the planner, she called and said it was a rule, a new law rule or whatever. Nobody can gather more than 50 people. So she's upset about that because she got 250 people coming and stuff. And so they sitting there talking and she's saying like, if she's supposed to get married on 10/10/20, she wants to have this elaborate wedding because she got married before. And child, when they showed them flashbacks from 7 years, was it 7 years ago? I said, I am so happy Cynthia put that weight on. She looks so much better today than she did back then. She looked like a different person. I was like, who is that? That's Cynthia. And I watched the show. I was like, that's what she looked. She looked like a whole different person. And she looked so much better and stuff. And the thing was that the marriage that she had, especially around the wedding, was negative. Like, they didn't have any money. Peter put all the money in bar one, basically. They didn't have any money. So then they couldn't really go on the honeymoon. She was crying all the time about the thing. But they wanted to still have this big wedding and whatnot, which was still, like, to me, it's ridiculous. Like, you don't have the money. Why are you putting on all these stunts and shows? Excuse me. For your friends. Like, just have it intimate and stuff like that. Just go to the justice of the, like, who gives a shit? Go to the justice of the peace. Have your wedding gown on. Have him have his tux on. Have your immediate family come in there and sit in the courtroom. Let the justice of the peace marry you. And then when you want to have, like, a big elaborate wedding, then do that later on once you have the money. But don't be trying to have this big-ass wedding like she had, like, what I'm saying, with Peter. Why I had this big-ass wedding with Peter and you ain't had the money? So all that negativity was basically around, like, you could have avoided all of that. But then Mallory and the mama ain't like them, so then they was trying to hide the wedding, the marriage certificate and stuff like that. So of course that was negative too, and then it didn't work out. So all of that, but she is still harping on that because it was negative and stuff like that. So now she wanted to be positive, and she like you my happily ever after. Like, I love you. I want to do all of this in front of my friends and family, and I want to show them, like, boom, this is it. So you want to put on stunts and shows for your friends and family. Mike is like, I don't give a fuck about them. Like, we could have, like, the ceremony today. Like, why should we have to push our date? Because she like, well, we can't get married on 10/10/20, then we could get married on a different date. He like, well, why we can't just get married on that date and then have the ceremony a different time? Like, it's just me and you, we can get married. And I'm with Mike. Like, why we just can't get married on this date and then later on the next year we can have a wedding renewal or something like that? Like, we already got, our anniversary is 10/10/20, but this is our wedding vow renewal or big celebration celebration or whatever the fuck you want to call it, why we just can't do that? But she like, well, I don't want to do that. I deserve it all and yada yada yada. And then he like, well, what's more important, me or the wedding? And she like, you. But he was like, well, no, he was like, well, am I not enough or something? She was like, oh, you are enough. And he was like, well, do you want the marriage or do you want the wedding? And then she kind of like paused and hesitated. So I was just like, girl. And then we saw Candy. She looking all cute at the restaurant and stuff. I said, oh, she look cute. I like that hair. I'm going to have to get that hairstyle. That's going to be my February hair. But they doing the steakhouse. And the steakhouse is already built because we already saw it on like, I think it was 2 months ago, maybe like August, September, something around that time, where maybe it was earlier that we saw the restaurant already built up, but it's a steakhouse and stuff. So she in there and Don Juan and Todd in there, and they talking about the lounge and stuff. And then Cynthia called her, and then they was talking about how Portia got arrested and whatnot. And then they was saying that they proud of her, but they was kind of scared and nervous for her as well. And what else happened, child? Oh, and then we saw Portia. She got free after 13 hours with like 87 other people. And then they was kind of celebrating and stuff. And then the producers asked her, like, what's your biggest takeaway from all this? She was like, that I'm going to do it again. I said, good girl, Portia. Good girl. So then they showed the clips for next, the season and stuff like that. And it looked interesting and stuff. It looked like Drew gonna bring some drama. And then, of course, they gonna have that whole stripper gate, which I, again, feel like is BS. And they just making up some shit. And then it looked like Kenya was going to try to start some drama around it or whatever. But I don't think it's gonna be nothing big. I don't think this season gonna be too dramatic or whatever. But I think they're going to make it seem like it is, but it's really not. And that's fine. We don't need a whole bunch of drama, but we do need a little something sprinkled in. So I think it's going to be a good season. What did y'all think about tonight's episode? Let me know down there in the comments below. If you did enjoy this recap review, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. And if you're watching this review recap, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be notified when I drop new videos. All right, y'all. Until next time.